For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod driveline components under the leadership of Top Fuel Funny Car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
Looking to replace your OEM diesel particulate filter or diesel oxidation catalyst? Look no further than DPF X-Fit, a complete line of aftermarket diesel particulate filters and diesel oxidation catalysts designed as an exact fit OEM replacement with all makes coverage for light, medium, and heavy-duty trucks. With thousands of units in stock, we ship the same or next day, and be sure to check out our comprehensive reverse OEM lookup tool. Always new, never remanufactured. For more information, be sure to visit dpfxfit.com. That's dpfxfit.com.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, WFO Radio is back. We are in the midst of 3 consecutive races. Charlotte is in the rearview mirror. We are looking ahead to Worldwide Technology Raceway, headed to St. Louis. It's going to be great. And boy, the countdown is really taking shape. Antron Brown, Austin Prock winning back-to-back races and seizing control of the situation in the NHRA Countdown. We're going to talk a little bit about that on this show. We're going to talk about our naturally aspirated categories. We got Dallas Glenn, who has taken the points leads, got a 6-point lead over Aaron Stanfield. They raced in the final round. We're going to speak with Dallas about what is starting to look like a 4-horse race, maybe a 2-horse race. We're going to see what you guys have to say about Pro Stock. And Matt Smith in Pro Stock Motorcycle, going to talk a little bit about him rallying back at ZMAX Dragway and getting the big win in the final round over Richard Gadsden. Also going to have Scott Libersher on the show as we get ready for the finale in FlexJet Factory Stock Showdown. Scott Libersher went from not having won a race to having won a couple of races and putting himself right back into the championship hunt. And so we're going to hear from Scott all on this show, as well as the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, going to be joining us just minutes from now. So let us know, share the show, tell your friends, all of that. Like a repost on X is a great way to share the show, but really subscribing on YouTube and the YouTube channel is the best way to do it. We are loaded for the rest of the year. And remember, WFO is going to go right up through and to PRI. And then we'll be back, of course, over the holidays, our holiday party. And it's not too soon to start thinking about the holidays and all that has gone down. Now, I do want to mention the people who make it possible for me to go WFO while we get Alan Reinhart all signed in, like the folks at Foggett. Speaking of a great Christmas gift, like you haven't lived until you've opened your under the tree and you open your can of Foggett. And I'm not kidding around, by the way. That's very serious comment. Foggett.com, Amazon.com, or SummitRacing.com. Get yourself a can and protect the inside of your racing engine. It could be your golf cart engine, your lawn equipment. Not only does it protect them, but it makes it start easier the next time. But really, it's designed for high-performance racing engines. Also, Bernie's Speed Shop, BURNYZZ.com. Bernie's. This is Josh Hart, over 100,000 square feet up there in Ocala, Florida. Check out their inventory online. Follow their social media online. Bernie's has got it going on. Whether you are making a $100 million movie and you need some props, or you're just working on your frame-off restoration, they do top-notch work. Go to Bernie's, BURNYZZ.com, Bernie's Speed Shop. Also, our great friends at CWT Industries. This is Randy Neal's company, CWT. Hopefully you've checked out their websites because they do balance machines for everything, like a regular, small block Chevrolet LS Coyote, small block regular engine, to giant 3,500 Caterpillars, like the kind of engine you would see in one of those land-moving, earth-moving trucks down in the quarries, down in the mines, carrying like ungodly amounts of weight up and out of the mines. They all need to be balanced, and CWT Industries makes those balancers. They're intuitive, they're touchscreen, they're easy to learn, they're easy to use. Go to CWTindustries.com and reach out to me, Joe, at WFOradio.com, and we'll put you together with Randy. If you've got an antiquated balancer in your shop, you got to make a change. It's time to make a change. CWTindustries.com. You heard a little bit about Jesse at the start of the show. Jesse Converters, the DPF X Fit for heavy-duty diesel, for mid-range diesel. They've also got their G-Sport brand. I encourage you to scan that QR code that's on the screen right now and get involved with Jesse Converters. They are changing the game when it comes to your filters on your diesel engine. And then, of course, Total Seal piston rings, the leader in ring seal technology. We got a new hidden horsepower getting ready to happen later today. I'll give you a hint. Tom Martino. Tom builds comp eliminator engines. Tom raced pro stock truck. Tom has been involved at the highest levels of engine building and has now started a program with Factory Showdown and Factory X engines, which is really cool. We're going to learn about that on Hidden Horsepower. But go to Total Seal's website to learn more about rings. And next time you need rings for your engine, or if you're an engine builder, you should be using Total Seal piston rings. Heard a little bit about FTI Performance, of course, Paul Lee's company located in Orlando, Florida. And later on in the show, DeLand, Florida. HusseyPerformance.net, not just copper head gaskets anymore. The folks at Hussey are doing oil pan gaskets and header gaskets and valve cover gaskets, and they're doing all kinds of different gaskets out of the top-notch material, sourced here in the United States of America, made here in the United States of America. HusseyPerformance.net. Later on in the show, we'll tell you about Marvin Rodak. We'll tell you about Frank Hawley's, and we'll go a little deeper with each of our sponsors and maybe even teach you how to become a Patreon. Let's bring on the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart. He joins us now after what was a wonderful weekend at ZMAX Drag.
It was.
It was.
It was. It was definitely. It was a great race. It was a little warmer than we're used to seeing down there, and the teams had to deal with a little bit hotter racetrack, and the fans had to deal with a little bit warmer weather down there. But no, I mean, Joe, you know as well as anybody that's watched the show a number of times, my rating scale is really simple. If that was the first time, if Sunday was the first time that you'd witnessed an NHRA event in person, would you want to come back? And I feel like if Sunday was the first time that you'd ever experienced an NHRA event, I think you'd want to come back. I certainly hope so. We saw some great upsets, a couple of great Cinderella stories. We saw a couple of lead changes in the pro categories. We saw a wild card winner in pro mod. We saw a little bit of everything out there, and didn't have a whole lot of downtime, a whole lot of problems. The show clipped right along, so I thought it was a great race.
Yeah, we had no downtime or problems that I remember, like very little.
My allergies from Charlotte followed me home, so forgive me.
Well, once you get allergized, it stays with you. I've got it too. We did a fair amount of talking too over the past few weeks in a row, and the U.S. Nationals, et cetera, and so on. But the allergies were kicking out there, gripped you like Darth Vader. Just grabbed that guy and made you pay. Me too. I just happen to be on allergy medicine all the time, so it makes it a little easier for me. But it was tough, but we got through it, Alan. That's what matters most. We got through it, and we made it happen. Everybody is out there saying WFO. They're all out there saying what's up. Walt's out there. Fast Eddie is out there. Frisky's out there. Latoya's out there. Everybody is saying what's going on to the WFO universe. Kara is out there. Huge shout out. That was amazing. Let's see. Everybody saying what's up, and it was great. Before we get to our pro stock winner, let's talk a little pro stock before he gets on the show. Dallas Glenn, Aaron Stanfield in the final round. That was amazing. And some people have said on our Ignition show with a little of analysis, like I said, it looks like a 4-horse race. And someone said it could be a 2-horse race because these are the two best cars from all year long, certainly the most consistent. It was actually nice seeing those two battle each other in the final round, right? They cut their way to the final, and now Dallas and Aaron, just 8 points separate the two, 53 back to Erica, 74 back to Greg, and everybody else, I declare, they're Dunzo. It's over.
Well, I'm certainly not willing to write Erica off just yet. I mean,
I Jag though. Jag, what about Jag? 166 back. Is Jag got a shot?
He's going to have to make a big move. I mean, I think, and I said multiple times on Sunday that I really felt like Pro Stock had a big 4, just like Funny Car has a big 4. We've talked about the Funny Car big 4 for a long time. I think Pro Stock has a big 4 with Dallas, Aaron, Erica, and Greg being the big 4. You look at a week ago, it was Erica and Aaron in the final. This week it was Dallas and Aaron in the final, but it was the same 4 qualifying up top. It was the same 4 in the semifinals, and I think one of those 4, I think, is going to be the champ.
I absolutely agree. But the
I've
two
got to
that
get a
have-
throat lozenge. I should have done this
Go
before.
get a lozenge. She's going to go get a lozenge, guys. Like Alan Reinhart's going to get a lozenge. Well, Alan gets a lozenge. Let's bring on Dallas, Glenn. Dallas, do you need a lozenge?
No. I just finished eating lunch. I'm all good to go.
You don't need a lozenge. Okay. This is the tricks of the trade. You know, I'm sure there are things you do before you get in your pro stock, or like, you know, hit the head, right? Do a little, get rid of any extra weight you might have on you, or, you know, get prepared, drink of water, something like that.
Usually right before I get into the pro stock car, I have to go button the clutch can up.
There you
Make my last adjustments.
There you go. I meant before that.
Now you might need those. You might need those extra couple of pounds to get across the scales.
There you go.
Hey Dallas, what's your take? I said multiple times on Sunday, and I know you can't hear me when you're down in the car, but I really look right now at pro stock that's got a big four, just like we talked about funny car. I don't see the champion coming from outside of you, Aaron, Erica, and Greg. I think those are the four best cars out there right now. What's your take?
I think it would be highly unlikely that all four of us would have, you know, 4 bad races in a row to let some of the other guys jump up there. But I'm not going to say it's not possible. I mean, I think, what is Jaggy, 180 back, I think?
166. Yeah.
I mean, if, you know, he wins the next 4, then it would definitely be completely change the whole, you know, outlook of it. Everybody has to remember Pomona is 1.5 points, and that definitely throws a wrench into everybody's math. You know, it's not just, you know, you can't just gain 20 or 40 points a race. No, you can easily gain 60 to 90 at that race very easily. So, you know, Pomona's always that's why that's probably why they do it, because they want it to come down to Pomona.
Yeah. But how many times has anyone won 4 in a row this year? And how many times have you and Aaron lost before second round or beyond 4 in a row? Like, you know, like we want it to be exciting, but it is what it is. And I thought Jag was going to have a great start and a great countdown. 1 thou red in Maple Grove, and that kind of like set things off on the wrong direction. You know, it is what it is. And you and Aaron have been the two guys pretty much all year long.
Yeah, I mean, I knew exactly how Jaggy felt there in Reading. I did that exact same thing last year, so I knew exactly how that felt, and it's not a good feeling. But you know, when you go up there, you're going up there with everything you've got, and you know, sometimes you just push it a little too hard, and it's a very, very fine line to tiptoe. But you know, the top 4 cars right now, they're definitely outperforming the field. I think we've all stepped up our driving, and I'm not going to say that I would be surprised if somebody else jumped up there, but I think at this point it's going to be a big jump to be able to get up there.
I think what you said at the beginning is the most telling statement. You know, if it's you and you're 166 points in front of Jaggy, who's in second place, you stumble, he closes a lot of ground, and all of a sudden we've got a race again. But I just don't see all 4 of you falling on your noses and letting him make up all of that ground. I think, you know, if you stumble, then, hey, maybe Aaron moves back into the lead, or maybe Erica steps up. But then next week, somebody might. I just don't see all 4 of you collapsing. You know, if there's 2 guys in a race and they're 200 points apart, maybe. But if there's 4 people out there that are head and shoulders right now, the way I look at it, head and shoulders above the rest of the field, I just really believe it's going to be one of the 4 of you.
Yeah, I think with how everybody's running right now, all 4 of us to, you know, bow out before the semis there. I think that would be a pretty big, that would be a very exciting weekend for everybody to watch. I think there would be a lot of upsets. You know, it was every round that where we go up there, I'm hoping, you know, one of the.
They're all texting you, Dallas. They're like, hey, Dallas, do you know that you're on WFO Radio? Like, do you know that you're on right now, Dallas? Hey, Dallas.
They keep calling me. It's actually Kyle Koretsky keeps calling me over and over and over again right now.
Thank you. Here, I'll text him not to call you while you're on the air. How about that?
He probably knows I'm on the air, and that's why he's calling me.
Oh, even better.
Yeah,
well,
you know, Kyle will do some background stuff like that. He'll be like, you know,
we were so kind to him too in his track, and we said such great things, Alan. And now he's deliberately sabotaging the show.
Well, but we're talking about him now, so
That's a good point.
Yeah, he can call me if
Kyle
he wants
knows how
to
to do
because I'm
that.
not on my phone this time. So
There you go.
what's life in the shop this week? Obviously, you were back there Monday morning playing a home game. You don't have a lot of travel. But you got to leave for St. Louis, tomorrow or Thursday at the latest. And then I'm assuming with a couple of weeks off between St. Louis and Dallas that you'll go home and then not come back again? Or what's your logistics as far as trucks and trailers the rest of the year?
We'll probably leave tomorrow sometime. It's been very busy in the shop. Obviously, we have 5 cars running, so we get them all back, get them all cleaned and serviced and checked out, and fix anything that may need to be, that was broken. I heard an engine or two here or there between all 5 of us, and as we'll get those fixed, we get everything cleaned and freshened and checked out and wiped down and load it all back up, head to St. Louis. After St. Louis, we'll come back to the shop and do it all over again, and then fix everything we need. Try to, I don't know if we're going to go testing or not. You never know until the last minute usually. Then head to Dallas, and I think usually what we do, as long as there's nothing catastrophic, we usually send 1 or 2 trucks to Vegas, and then 1 or 2 will come back to the shop just to kind of bring a few things back, kind of get a fresh stock of parts and bring back whatever engines they want to work on. And but it's always a battle. It's a constant. People don't realize how much time and work it takes to keep these things running in the top half of the field week after week. It's more than a full-time job for sure.
Dallas, you were the marquee matchup with Mason McGahey. We rolled you out on stage because it was a rematch of the final round of the Lucas Oil Nationals. And that was kind of fun. It was actually really cool to see Mason trash talk you a little bit. Like nothing bad, but just fun, right? Like you guys were having fun. He said he wasn't rooting for you, that kind of stuff. But a tough day, right? Then you go through Hartford. Hartford's been resurgent. Then the back-to-back of the 2 Johnson's horsepower garage house cars at Elite, Erica and Aaron. Just, walk us through that race day and key in on a couple of big moments.
Obviously, you can't count Mason out. They make good power over there. They can make good runs, and Mason's killer on the tree. So, I had to go up there with trying to make the best run we can, especially, it's not only you trying to make the best run you can to try to beat your opponent, but we were also trying to get lane choice for the next round as well. And not only lane choice, but the better run we make, the farther back we are for second round. There's so many things to it. If we can go low first round, now all of a sudden we're 4th pair instead of, second or third or first pair. So all that kind of plays into it. And then if you can be 4th or 3rd pair, that really helps your chances of getting lane choice for the semis. So there's a lot to it that people don't realize. But Mason's tough. I went up there and I've been trying to just hit the tree as best I can every single round. I'm not going to try to relax against anybody. I'm not going to give anybody anything. I'm going to go up there and take everything I can just in case something is a little off somewhere. Maybe, I think a perfect example is Justin Ashley first round. He's 17 on the tree somehow in a top fuel car. And he gets into trouble and has to pedal it, and he gets around on a hole shot. If he would have just relaxed and been 70 or 80 on the tree, he would have lost that round. So, you have to take everything you can when you can get it. And then second round, you got Matt Hartford, and Matt is he's running really good right now. I think he qualified 5th, and his car's making good, clean runs, and he's fast, and he's in his old car right now, and I think he can't count him out for cutting the light either. And he I knew he was going to. When we were sitting there before we fired up, and they told us to fire up, you can always kind of tell because he waited and waited and waited, and I fired up, and I did my burnout. And when I glanced up at the big screen, and he hadn't even started his yet, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna hang me out. I already know he is. And I get into pre-stage, and I don't know how long it was. It feels like forever in the car, but yeah, he took his nice sweet time getting in there, so I just dunked it right in as soon as he got in. I was like, oh, fine. If you want to make me wait, I'm gonna speed you up as soon as you get in then. And but we had a good race. We're I think 5 thou apart on the tree, and luckily the KB Titan guys got the car working really good, made a really nice run. And then we had the tough matchup there in the semis with Erica, and what people don't realize about ZMAX is the entire track is downhill. I don't remember exactly how much. I think it's like 17 feet downhill from just in front of the burnout box all the way to the finish line's like 17 feet downhill.
It's
And
1%.
yeah, so 13 feet, 13
Yeah.
roughly. Yeah. So, but it's noticeable, and when I went to roll forward, I like being fairly deep into pre-stage. And when I went to roll forward, it just rolled a little bit far on me, and I accidentally lit both of them on. She was a little upset with me at the top end, and I can kind of understand that. You just want to race clean and kind of do everything, just go up there and battle it out. But honestly, I don't think double bulbing Erica is the right move. I'm not against double bulbing people. If I feel like I have a performance disadvantage and I think I can make them make a mistake by doing that and rushing them, then yeah, I'm definitely not above doing that. But that time just happened to make a mistake, and I'll take a win light any way I can. I mean, obviously, me going in and lighting both bulbs didn't make her car get super aggressive and shake or anything like that. And she's got a really fast car. It showed in qualifying. She crushed everybody in qualifying. So, we were just kind of picking away and trying to get a little bit better and trying to close the gap all through the Saturday and first round. We ran really good first and second round. So, but got by that round, and then it's always tough with Aaron in the anytime you race Aaron. He hardly ever misses the tree, and he hardly ever makes a bad run. So you really have to do your job well. And the final round, I don't know if anybody could see it, but it felt like it took me straight towards the wall, and I had to kind of gather it up and then gently bring it back to the groove in a reasonably quick manner before it started spinning. I have to thank Safety Safari for doing such a great job prepping so far out there, because I was nowhere near the groove when I was shifting through the gears, and it stayed planted. So kind of got lucky on that. And I didn't drive very well in the semis, and I got lucky that Erica shook. So I did a terrible job shifting in the semis, but I did a really nice job in the final, and we were just good enough to get it done.
Alan?
I want to go back to something that you talked about at the top. For those who don't follow pro stock closely, or those who are not an aficionado, why is it such a big deal to be third pair or fourth pair when you have the choice? Why is it such a big deal not to be the first or second guy down the racetrack?
It seems like the first pair after a fresh drag like that, or after whatever class, or typically sometimes they'll scrape or they'll drag, or they'll put on some fresh spray or something. But for some reason, having 2 or 3 or 4 pairs of burnouts and launches in front of you completely changes how the car reacts to the track. And it's worth a couple hundreds. There's no doubt about it. Being first pair is a couple hundred slow. You'll generally always see that first pair be a couple hundred slower than the rest. And then that's when you're most likely to shake. And it's just, you have to really tiptoe through that first 60 feet when you're first pair. I don't know exactly what the deal is with how they drag it, or I don't think it's anything that they could do. I think you can't substitute a car doing a burnout and a launch.
Interesting. Dallas, I want to go back to the Erica run, because that was a clash of titans, and Alan's number one qualifier, like Jinx, is still going. We'll talk about that. But I heard through the grapevine, right, that there were some words on the top end. And I want to get to what's true versus what's not true. I heard you went over and said, "Hey, didn't mean to do that," and then it kind of devolved. My first thing is, what's your version of what happened on the top end, so we know what's true? And number two, if you did go over, why even go over, right? Because even if you wanted to double bulb, that's allowed and it's legal. It was a big conversation with the people I was with. That's part of racing. If you want to do whatever you want to do, you can do it. What happened down there?
Well, it actually wasn't that I went over. It was we were both over at the screen watching the Greg Aaron matchup, which was also a really good race. And as we were standing there, I just mentioned, I was like, "Hey, if I'm being honest, that one was not on purpose," and she 100% did not believe me, which I can't necessarily blame her for not believing me. If there was a time to play games or whatever, we're in the countdown, emotions are high, it really matters right now. It would be a time to try and play games. But like I was saying earlier, I don't think double bulbing Erica is really, historically, whenever somebody holds her out or plays games with her, she tends to drill the tree and make a good run. So, I don't think it's the move that you should be doing at that time. Plus, not only that, but I had lane choice and I had a great car going into that. So as far as being down on performance, I felt like we could match her, and I was hitting the tree good all day. So as long as I do my job, I felt like we should have been able to do it. So I didn't see any reason to play games. It's just the car rolled a little bit more than I anticipated being downhill, and she just she was a little upset. She told me that well, you're a racer, and obviously there's 3 things you can do up there. So that was one of them, and I was like, well. They said if I did it on purpose, I'd tell you absolutely I did it on purpose, but I didn't do that one on purpose. I have no problem saying, yeah, I 100% did it on purpose, and I want to win. It's part of it. But no, I like I was saying earlier, I'm not above playing games, but I wasn't trying to on that one, even if it looked like it. If anything, it's good for pro stock. It brings a little extra drama to it.
Well, exactly. Like, am I a bad guy for picking the scab?
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, we can try to squeeze that for everything it's worth if we want to. It's anything to give the fans a good show and bring more attention to it.
I that's what I think. Everybody immediately started to buzz about it. Oh, this thing happened. Oh, it's going to be interesting. So why sweep it under the rug, right? Let's pick at it a little bit. Alan, next question.
What about your rivalry with Aaron? I mean, I got an idea. The next time you guys race, you should get out of the car at the top end of the racetrack and throw a torque wrench at him. Do something.
I was
you guys
thinking,
have so much respect for each other that I truly appreciate the fact that you guys go up there and what you do. But that would be so out of character for either one of you to just go up and, like I said, throw a torque wrench at the guy.
I don't know. I mean, I don't really have any wrenches in the car to throw at him.
How about a tire gauge? You got to have something in there.
I don't want to throw my helmet. That thing's really expensive. But if I could throw my jacket at him or something. But no, maybe we need to make it interesting. Maybe we'll both go do our burnouts, and then we'll shut the cars off and swap cars, and then and see who wins then. And maybe we'll do something crazy like that. He's a great racer. He's a very good bracket racer. He I feel like he's one of those, you don't know if he wants to stage first or last. He changes it up. I don't think it matters to him. And, so no matter what, we're going to go up here, we're going to race, we're going to see who's got the better light and the better car at this time. And it's really 100% when we go up there, we have no idea. It's a coin flip.
All right, so Matt Smith is running that. I see you, Matt. I just want to let Matt Smith know that I see you down there, and you will be up next. Go ahead, Alan.
Just to follow up, do you have any relationship with him in between races? Do you guys end up at the same bracket race, or do you text each other? Or, if you bump into each other at Applebee's, would you sit down and have a cocktail and have a conversation, or no?
If I ever did, yeah, I would, stop by on my way to the bathroom and talk to him for a few minutes or something like that. Yeah, I wouldn't have any problem, but I don't really ever see him. They live in Louisiana and I live in North Carolina. It's, I don't know, 20 hours or something like that, 18 hours of driving apart.
I just figured you could end up at a bracket race at some point or something.
Yeah. I mean, he runs a lot of nationals, and, I'm pretty much stuck working nonstop. So I don't even get to run a whole lot of bracket races anymore, but if we ever did, yeah, I'd go, I'd chat with him and hang out, and, I got, no issue with anybody. So it's, even though we all kind of hate each other on track, we're all still kind of friends out there. So, it's, I know it sucks for people, trying to stir up drama and everything, but
no, I actually prefer it that way. I don't want to see you guys fight each other. I don't. I don't. Like, maybe some do. I know some do. Some definitely.
Maybe just fight with words. We don't actually have to.
Well, exactly. I don't want to see my, we always talk about this extended drag racing family. I don't want to see you guys beating on each other. I want to see beating on each other on the track. All right, let's watch the final round, and we'll be able to hear you talk us through what you see right here, as this is the final. We can hear you.
If you notice, we've got two very big teams all cheering on their driver.
Best part of the day, right? Everybody else goes up there. You got Aaron on the right. He's won 5 out of 7. You on the left. You're the points leader all year long, and points leader going into it.
You can tell this is a home race for us. We have way too many people on the starting line.
Yes.
NHRA probably is going to get mad at us for it.
A little away from camera. What are you feeling right now, Dallas, in this moment?
Okay. I don't think either one of us, we were just right in. It immediately turns left. They're very excited. I don't think you could really tell who left first. You can't really see it in this camera, but I mean, it felt like an entire car width out of the group to the left, and I had to pull it back.
It was definitely hard left. His car actually went a little bit right, too. You guys were both fighting at the first 100 feet or so.
Yeah, they told me his car in the right lane had been going right almost every time, and it was in the semis. I made a nice straight run in the left lane, so I really wasn't expecting anything, but there might have been something goofy with my tires. I think they said one of them was leaking down a little bit, and they didn't tell me, and it actually might have created some stagger and kept me going straight. They're like, well, we don't want to ever try that again, but.
All right, look ahead to this week. Look ahead to this week. We go again. The 3 in a row is amazing. And as Alan has pointed out, Alan, what is the actual stat? When was the last time number one qualifier won in Pro Stock?
Greg Anderson.
What would that be?
At Charlotte?
Charlotte?
At the 4 wide. Yeah.
Get out.
Wow.
14 races.
Wow.
And these days, it seems like number 4 is the place to be. So,
yeah, that's
throwing it out
what is
there.
it?
You guys
Three
should battle
in
for
a
number
row
4.
that number 4 has won. 3 in a row, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, as good as 4 is, you don't get any bonus points for 4th in a session. So maybe we need to swap this trend to like 2 or 3.
No, you need to be is 4th on Friday night and then 1st the other 3 runs, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm just hoping that we get 4 runs in St. Louis. The weather's looking a little iffy right now.
It's going to be fine.
Why would you bring that up? Don't speak that into existence.
Well, if you bring it up and then it makes it so that I can be wrong and then it won't.
The double reverse. I get it.
Yeah.
The double reverse.
It's Chris Blair's place. You don't think he can control the weather? He controls everything.
Yeah. Just do a little, cloud seeding, 100 miles away or something like that. Just draw all the rain somewhere else.
There you go. Dallas, congratulations on your win. Great job out there at ZMAX. And what a fight looking at the championship. You and Aaron, 8 points apart. Erica 53 back, Greg 74 back. And I think, it will take a Herculean effort for anybody else to get up and into it. And if it were to happen, that would be amazing, but it just seems unlikely. Good luck this weekend. We thank you for coming on WFO Radio and telling it like it is from your perspective. Great stuff. It's only going to get better and better. Good luck.
All right. Thank you. Have fun, guys.
Dallas Glenn with us here on WFO Radio. I like that he understands that creating the rivalries is significant and important.
What he should understand is you can throw your Hans device. I mean, doesn't everybody do that these days? Everybody's got one of those. You just take the thing off.
You don't even need that, though. Really, just some pointing, some aggressive pointing, maybe shaking your fist would go light years. You'd be in every highlight for the rest of the countdown. You know what? Let's bring on somebody who knows about this stuff. Let's bring on somebody who knows a little something about this kind of thing. Matt Smith joining us now. Matt knows how to play the game with a little bit of, aggressiveness and how to talk the talk and walk the walk and all that stuff. Matt, congratulations.
Thank you, Joe. I don't know about playing the game, but we're just doing the best we can, and we're running all out as hard as we can go.
See, that's part of the game right there, Alan. Like when someone says you know how to play the game, say you don't know what game they're talking about. That's part of the game. What game? There's no game. We're working real hard. That's part of it. No, huge win, Matt. Huge win. Walk us through your rounds of eliminations. And we got the little dog. Maybe if you held it on your lap, it would not bark.
As soon as I get on and do an interview, UPS and FedEx show up at the shop. So, of course, they got to bark and tell me that somebody's there.
And Reinhart's trash truck comes by. It's our fault.
Yeah.
We schedule at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, it's not trash day this week, so it won't be me. Matt, you guys as a group, you need to do a better job of qualifying, just so you can get away from each other on the ladder. So you don't have to run each other in early rounds on the ladder. I mean, you obviously did your part qualifying number 1, but do you have a conversation with your wife? Go, come on, honey, get on the other side of the ladder. Would you get away from me?
Yeah, I did not do a good job of, tuning, I guess, Gianna, Angie, and John Hall's bike this weekend. Still struggling a little bit with the tune-up on their bikes. We're still struggling with Angie's bike, 60 foot and consistently. But, we just got to do a better job. I mean, all 4 of our bikes should be in the top 6, with no problem. And that would, when you have 4 bikes, you're going to meet somebody second round or third round. It's just inevitably it's going to happen. But we'd like to meet each other in the finals and preferably try to get them paired up against one of the Vance Nines, bikes to knock them out early.
Yeah, Angie's bike looked like it was pretty consistent. It just wasn't fast, right? I saw 112 come up a couple of times. I spoke with her. How important is the tire, Matt, on any bike? We know it in pro stock. They're searching and seeking and looking at numbers and keeping it like, oh, this is the good one. You had mentioned a couple of years ago that when Steve Johnson was having his performance renaissance, it's that could be a magic tire too. What's going on there? Talk a little bit about, tires and how vital it is to get one that likes what you're doing.
Yeah, it's very vital. I mean, that's one of our problems. We've talked to Mickey Thompson about it. It seems to be that there's certain tires out there that are really, really good. And then there's tires that are they don't perform. The new bike has a new tire on it. It performed good testing, and then it's gradually just gone away. We got less than 18 laps on it, and it won't 60 foot, but a 111, 112 on the bike. We took that tire off, put another tire on, and immediately went out there and went 110 with the same tune-up. It wasn't a 108 or 107 like I'd like to see, but it was definitely better in worse conditions on the track. So I keep having these problems trying to find a good tire. I have a good tire on my bike. It's working. I took the tire off that I was at Sonoma when I went 105s every time, and that tire and wheel is just sitting ready to go. I put a new tire on for Indy, and I've been breaking it in, and it's getting better and better and better. And it's not a 105, but we have 15 more pounds on the bike now than what we had at Sonoma. But it will consistently go 107s or 108s out there, and that's just where I'm at right now. And I'm happy there with the weight that's on the bike, especially the way the tracks are. The track at St. Louis at Charlotte was really greasy, and you just could not get after it. That right lane struggled. I struggled in that right lane, both qualifying passes. And I really thought when I got lost lane choice in the semifinals against Richard, I was like, man, I'm probably done. I cannot go down that right lane. And I just pulled 6 more degree of timing out all the way through low gear against Richard. And I said, yeah, it's the only way I know to go down that lane. And it worked. It worked in that lane, way underpowered. And we ran a good number. So eventually there are good tires out there, and we don't know why there are.
Alan?
Matt, for the casual fans, what do you go through when you break in a new tire? I know that, like a pro stock race, the last thing in the world you would want to do is have to put new tire on or new tires Sunday morning round 1. So if you get 2 or 3 new tires for Mickey Thompson, what is the procedure for breaking them in before you think they're ready to race? And how many runs can you put on one once you get it into that happy place?
Well, I'll put it this way. We buy tires 10, 12 at a time for Mickey, and we try to get all the same batch number because you will find different batches are different. They're in different molds. So we try to, when we get a bunch of them, we buy the same one. So typically if we get a good tire, we know that batch is good. It's just you got to sort through them and find the best one in the tire size. They vary so much from an 83 tire to an 86 tire in rollout. So we like the bigger tires for the V-twins because it helps us not spin the tire as hard in low gear. But braking procedure, we'll come out here in the driveway. We got a concrete pad set up, and we'll do a couple burnouts with a tire, let it sit for a couple days, 2 or 3 days, and then we go to the track and we'll test that tire, and we'll do a couple 1/8 mile passes, then a couple 1/4 mile passes. When you do the 1/4 mile pass, it stretches the tire to the max size. It stretches the cords. And that's when you know that's where that tire is going to be as far as tire size for the diameter. And typically on the 3rd or 4th run, if that tire 60 foot, 106, 107, it's a good tire. You save it, you put it to the side, that's a good tire. If it goes 112, 113, 111, 60 foot on the 4th or 5th time, that tire's not going to be no good. You just might as well throw it away because it'll never come in right. And that's how we do it. We cannot go and run new tires at the track. We have to test them. We have to break them in. And typically that's how we find our good tires and all. And we haven't been as lucky as I'd like to see and have 4, 5, 6 of them laying around this shop. We've only got 2 or 3 right now. And, we need to find a couple more.
Interesting. You have
25 runs.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. So John Hall's bike, we've had the same tire on his bike all year long. That tire would go 105, 106 every time. It had 115 laps on it. All the dots were gone off the tire. And I told John, I said, look, it started showing the cords. I said, we got to get rid of that tire. I don't need you hurt. I don't need you tearing up a bike. But it's hard to take one off when they go 105, 106 every time. And we had to give him a new tire. And that tire just has not been as good the last 2 races as what he had on there. But in essence, you don't want to get anybody hurt, But when you find that magic tire or that good tire, you want to run it till it's just it can't run no more.
Derek is in the chat on this topic. One final thing. KB's got their burnout car. Do you have a burnout bike? Do you have a chassis specific for that, for breaking in tires?
No, we just simply burn out with our normal stuff, whatever bike that goes on or we're testing, we can. Now, we do have a school bike that we do, teach people how to ride motorcycles, and we will put new tires on eventually and do stuff like that. When we go to the track, if we know we're going to run that bike, we'll go do that a couple times and then let some people do burnouts and some launches, and that kind of helps break stuff in. But besides that, we don't really mess with that bike unless we're teaching somebody.
All right, so 25 points. You are now up. So thinking about Gage, and you've been in that situation before, the countdown, the playoffs, just energizing everything, putting the pressure on everybody all at once. Here we go. After 2 races, you now have a 25-point lead and 27 over Richard Gadsden, 115 over Hector Jr., even though he won the first race, 154 over Chase. And so, I'm feeling like it's a 3-horse race. No disrespect to Hector, but he needed to have a really good race again to keep it going. But you never know. There's always that caveat. But what do you think about where you're at right now? I don't know if you could have written it up much better.
You just don't ever know. I mean, our class, we have a lot of failures with whether it's cam sensors, crank sensors, TPS. I heard Gage had an injector go bad. I mean, you just don't ever know, any of those things can happen. And you just don't need that to happen first or second round, because it totally will change the outcome of what's going on. And that's why I stress a lot. You have to win first and second round. You got to go to semifinals every race to legitimately have a shot at this championship. And if you don't, if you go lose first round or second round, you're praying that the number 1, 2, or 3 guy has a first round loss or a second round loss, so you can make that up. But all in all, I mean, it's typically, I used to say, if you can win 2 races in the countdown, maybe 3, you're going to win that championship. But anymore, it's who can go to the semis or finals the most. I mean, at this point, I think we're all pretty close. Me, Richard, Gage. I mean, we're pretty close right now. I still, in my opinion, I still think Gage has a performance advantage. When he goes out there and lays a 60-foot down, he can run the same speed that we do. He can run the same backhouse we do, but we know he can go that 103, 104 still at 660 pounds. So in theory, I think if he's on and that bike's on, he's still got the best bike out there. Now we're going to fight tooth and nail all the way to the end as hard as we can to try to push him to make mistakes. And we're starting to see that. We're starting to see him make mistakes when we're closer like this. He red lit at Reading. In my opinion, he should have red lit at Indy in the finals. I mean, 000. Well, I don't even know why he pushed it that hard. But that could have been an easy red light. And, and then they had a break here at Charlotte. So I think they're feeling pressure, and that's what we're here to do, is put pressure on them. I just got to get Angie. I got to get Gianna. I got to get John Hall. I got to get them the bikes we had early in the year where they were qualifying 2, 3, 4, and put more pressure on that team. And I think we'll see some difference out here.
Alan?
Matt, give us the tail of the tape on St. Louis. You said that Charlotte starting line was a little greasy. You had to make some adjustments there, especially left lane to right lane. You've been to St. Louis a number of times. What's kind of the notebook going in there? What can we expect out of the bikes?
St. Louis, I've always been really good at. I mean, we've won that race 3, 4 times, I think. It's a good track. Last year was a bad track for us. That's where Angie crashed at. And it kind of, our whole team was, not in the right mind to race. At that point, we were more focused on getting Angie better and being sure she was all right. Coming in this race this year, we have the points lead. We're going to go do our best to try to win that, if not go to the finals. But all in all, it's typically been a good track. Now the weather's looking pretty crappy, but maybe that means it's going to be cloudy and the track's going to be better. That we won't have all the sunshine on it and the track surface will be great to where we can push it a little bit harder like we could in Sonoma. Sonoma, we had a lot of cloud cover at times, and it kept the temperature down, and we were really good out there with 60 footing. So I don't know. I do whatever I can to at whatever conditions we have. I just, hopefully we get the race in and all the fans come out and support the track, even with the weather conditions that is showing that it's going to be, and us racers put on a good show for them.
Yeah, little weather coming in. Let's just hope we can do it. We mentioned something, Angie's incident there last year. I was talking to her on the starting line, and she sounds like just determined and ready and no apprehension. Not that she would, but that was a tough moment for everybody, like the extended drag racing family, you in particular, and the guts she showed later on in the year in Vegas, getting on the bike, and then Pomona getting back on the bike to get those points. Like, wow. But to go back to that place, there's got to be, memories pulling back in the gate. Like the last time we were here, this kind of very intense thing happened.
Yeah. From what I understand, St. Louis has repaved the top end from what I've heard. And they've made it all smooth. We've got rid of a lot of the bumps and the really bad asphalt. So if that is true, which I think it is, that's great for us. The bikes need a smooth surface of stopping because we don't have, theoretically, we don't have parachutes. One guy does, but we don't have parachutes that slow us down. And when it's really rough, we don't have real shocks on the bike. So in essence, it just gets the bike upset. And if you lock the front tire up, you're in bad shape. If you got to get back off the brakes. So it's going to be tough going in there. And I'm hoping it's her decision, but I'm hoping she runs 1,000 foot the first time and pulls the clutch in, and just to know that she can do it up there and get through that little factor of going back to the track the last time she crashed. So that's what I'm hoping she does, but it's all up to her, whatever she wants to do. Our team is 100% behind her.
Final question for Matt.
You mentioned Chris Bostic playing with the parachute out there. I'm sure you've paid at least a little bit of attention to that. Any thought to putting them on your bikes, or any feeling about whether or not it may become a rule in the future?
I've asked to see data. I think NHRA needs to collect the data off the bike. I'd like to see what the G meter shows when the chute comes out. I know what the G meter looks like on a Pro Mod and Pro Stock cars. We really need to see what the G meter does. I know what engine braking does, the G meter, when we don't pull the clutch in down there. So really need to see what's going on to see if it's even a benefit. Because if it's not showing some kind of impact when the chute comes out and slowing the bike down, then there's no reason to have it. It's just for show. And that's just a lot of weight to put on there just for show, in my opinion. So if we're going to do it, we need some data. We need to see some data from NHRA on the deal. And I support whatever makes our class safer. I support whatever makes our class healthy, and I support whatever class makes everybody competitive. And that's what I'm about with our class right now.
Matt, thank you for joining us on WFO. Good luck this weekend. We'll see you. Let's hope we chase away the weather by speaking it into existence. Good luck, of course. And we appreciate you making some time for WFO Radio.
Hey, thanks for having me on. And Alan, do some gargling, get that voice back right so you can announce right.
He was the talk of the town, wasn't he?
Yeah, you sound like a gravel pit up there.
Something out there just absolutely lit my allergies off. And I feel a whole lot better now. I know another day or two and I'll be great. So I appreciate the concern. Travel safe, and we'll see you in a couple days.
All right. See y'all later.
Later, Matt. Thank you so much. Yeah, Alan, did you know? Hey, Alan, you don't sound good up there, Alan. You got a problem with your voice, Alan. I'm making fun of you guys is really what I'm doing. I'm making fun of the people, like if anybody is going to know who's got a problem with the voice, it's the person doing the talking. Believe it or not, this is crazy, but we actually can hear and feel it when we're having a problem with our voice. It's bizarre. I know. So all the wonderful people, the good meaning, wonderful people out there, and I'm just having fun with you just for a second, because I've been that guy that Alan had this situation. I was not great this weekend either, right? When you send a text that just points out the obvious, all it does, at least maybe not Alan, because Alan is a wonderful person, I am less wonderful, is aggravate and annoy, and also inflame, because it causes, I think, at least with me, a little bit of anxiety. Like, oh my gosh, everybody is hearing it. They're all texting me. Your voice, Joe. Joe, your voice, is something wrong with it, Joe. You need to know. You would never do that. Alan.
What voice was that?
Yeah, that's my character. I use him all the time. It is, annoying person out there pointing out the obvious voice.
You sound like Mrs. Kravitz on Bewitched.
That's it. The annoying person who's pointing out the obvious voice. That it comes around every once in a while. It's much better audio only, guys, because you don't see me and you can imagine the character. But it's one of my many characters that only show up every once in a while.
Yeah, it was really strange for whatever it was. I mean, it was an outside thing. Thursday, you and I were there Thursday. Spent most of the time inside the building in the booth, and I was fine all day. Friday morning was fine. When I went to use an education presentation, which was about 3 hours outside, by the end of it, my voice had just like fallen off a table. And I'd come back inside for 2 hours and I'd be a little better. And I'd go back outside and I'd just be wrecked. And, Sunday I spent the whole day inside. And I said Sunday morning, because I was scheduled to be the pro announcer on Sunday, I said, I'm not leaving the building even if it's on fire. I'm going to stay inside here. I'm not going, whatever that is out there that's killing me, I'm not going to go out there and give it a chance. And, by the end of the day, I was a little bit gravelly just from a long day, but I certainly was a whole lot better than I was when I was outside.
All right, let's bring our next guest, and then we'll go into some of the points battles. But this gentleman has raced his way into the championship. We're talking about Flex Jet Factory Stock Showdown. He's collected 2 Wallies since we last heard from him, and it's a huge deal. Mr. Scott Libersher joining us now. What's up, Scott? How are you?
I'm doing fine. It's a little wet here in the Midwest. We're around the Chicagoland area, and got everything taken apart at the shop and looking at it and getting ready for this weekend in St. Louis.
Kind of a big deal for you, right? Like from chasing your first Wally to now potentially chasing a championship Wally. The way I see it, you are you're in the mix.
Yeah, my car's been fast all year, and I started going over some of the old data of what was happening, and a lot of it fell down on me. I lost one race by 7 thousandths of a second to Mr. Bell, and another one by 8 thou to Mr. Bell. And it's just been right there. Our qualifying's been tight. Almost every race it's within 700-800s, for the top 10, 12 cars. And I just changed up a couple of personal habits earlier to bed, and it seems to be working. And I'm not going to change much for this next race. I'm going to keep on that same path.
Alan?
Scott, I'm curious, especially for casual fans, how much adjustment is made on the cars from round to round? If you run Friday afternoon when it's hot out there, when maybe the track's a little greasy, and then you come back Saturday morning when it's a little cooler, conditions are better, what are the major changes that get made on one of those cars to make adjustments for track and weather conditions like that?
Barring any drastic changes, rear gears and converters are done if it's extreme. A lot of it's in the computer, Alan. It's pulling that power back and ramping it in just right, and then adjusting it for a greasy or a no prep track. David Barton took the year off from Factory Showdown, so he's been a lot more attentive in the staging lanes with the computer and running up and looking at the track. And it really shows that, in our performance here at the race at Maple Grove last week, they were running behind for TV, so we found out they weren't going to prep it for the final round, and he jumped in on the computer and took a couple degrees of timing out on the launch, and it worked out great for us.
Yeah, clearly did. I love hearing about changing personal habits, right? So much money, time, effort, resources, not just yours, but that of your crew spent to get you to those final rounds. And then it comes down to the driver, and you can, we hear it all the time. You can't really make it faster, but you can definitely mess it up. That's a lot of pressure to want on yourself, Scott.
It is. But that's the sport. It's, and I feel horrible when some of them are close, a 31 light to a 24 light, but I lost to Lee Hartman earlier in the year with a 56 light to his 30 light. And that was just a bad light for our class with the pro tree. So I just a little bit earlier to bed, a little bit more exercising and some mental exercises, and just trying not to over concentrate, but trying not to under concentrate. I went red at I think Norwalk. I was too relaxed. I didn't have the brake pressure up where it should have been, and I went 12th thou red just because I was too relaxed. So just going over them data points, I've just put a brake pressure switch in the car, something else to distract me on the starting line, but it seems to be working.
Yeah.
Scott, what's your life like outside the car? I'm
My
sorry.
life, we got 5.5 grandkids in the last 4 years, Alan. My youngest son, or my only son, Lenny, is due in February with number 6. We've been bringing my son-in-law Dan's boy to the races, so that's been a lot of fun, and having the grandkids around the racetrack. He was at Norwalk, and he was just at Maple Grove. He's into the racing. He'll be 4 in December, and we're going to start looking for some junior dragsters, and but a lot of family time, Alan. It's we all live by each other, and we all work together. And behind the scenes, my son-in-law Dan, he'll be coming back soon to racing, but he works at the shop quite a bit and getting the cars ready for each race, along with Alex Anderson, my other crew chief.
What is the family business when you're not at the racetrack? What does the family do?
We have a rental business, rental homes in the Joliet area. And I started out in the mid 80s with a handful of houses. And one thing that we do different is we do all of our own maintenance. So we're licensed contractors in roofing, heating, cooling, electric. So we go through and rehab these houses when they need it. We buy stuff that needs to be rehabbed or that's in poor condition. And I've been doing that for, it'll be 40 years this next year. And it's been a great business. It's hands-on. It's 7 days a week, and it's intense, just like being at the racetrack for 4 days.
That is awesome. All right. So what I said earlier, I just wanted to mention the situation. David Janik leads the point, but Stephen Bell, Mark Powick, and you all with an opportunity, all within, I believe, 45 points of the lead going into this final race. And so this is what everybody dreams of, right? One race to determine it all. You're going to have to do a little something. You're going to have to maybe get after Janik early. Have you guys thought about strategy? If he is allowed to just go to the final, win the first couple of rounds, that's going to hurt you guys. You can't let him do that. So have you thought about trying to figure out how to get next to him and handle your business yourself?
Yeah, we've had some discussions with David Barton and Danny and Alex about, maybe laying back or just going after that number one spot. Weather does come into play. Do we turn it all out on our first qualifying hit and hope for the best? Or do we kind of get a feel for it, and roll in a little later, which we've been doing, but with time not on our side with Mother Nature, I'm leaning towards, getting after it right out of the gate and seeing what happens.
Have you considered just distracting him in the staging lanes and then airing his back tires up to like 45 pounds?
Yeah, that would be fun. Just get somebody dressed up as something or another. But it's a good group of people. I get along great with Dave and Bell and everybody else. It's a close, knit group because there's not a whole lot of us doing it. And it goes both ways at the races, but everybody, for the most part gets along great. And, you put your driving gloves on and your helmet and you line them up. And after that, you have a chit chat about it and see what happens.
How's the health of the category, would you say? Like this category came in gangbusters. We love it. We still love it. The sound of the cars, unequaled. The fact that they're factory cars, 9-inch wide tire, power windows, amazing. Factory X maybe took some of the energy, maybe not, because it's a very expensive race car. Just kind of speak on where things are with FlexJet Factory Stock Showdown, energy-wise, class-wise, attitude-wise.
The energy's still there. I think it did get watered down a little bit with FX, and FX is still a new class, and I think it's going to be a great class. But Lottie and Alexandra, they went to that, and just with the learning curve that these guys that have not raced pro stock in the past, is a pretty good amount of work they've got to do because they were going to try to do both. I just don't think it's feasible right now. And you get some new people coming into this class, and I think it'll survive. I think it's It's a competitive class, and Dodge, Ford, and Chevy have been right up there with the top qualifying points at almost all the races. None of these manufacturers have ran away from it. NHRA has kept the parity really well, and like I said earlier, most of these qualifying rounds, 700-800s between the top 10 cars, and I don't know what else you could ask for.
Scott, what's your racing background? Before you got into the factory stock showdown, what did you do? How involved were you, either on the local level or on the divisional or national level?
Not much, Alan. NHRA-wise has been the last 10 years. Prior to that, I grew up in the Midwest, and we used to go out to Maryville, Indiana, for US 30 drag strip out there in the late 70s and 80s. Used to drive down to Indy for the Nationals every year. Did a lot of street racing back in the day on old farm roads because I live in a rural area. But 2013, I picked up a Copo and asked my wife if it was okay, and I don't think she really understood the degree I was going to take it to now. But I love exposing other people to the sport, and I've been blessed in business, and I can talk to people pretty easy. And I'm bringing up some new drivers. Kyle Powick went to the final round at his first NHRA race or NMCA race at Norwalk. Cole Kiernan is coming around. He's going to race with us when time permits. He's still going to school and got a new job. Alex Anderson got his license with me, and he went some rounds at Norwalk. So that's exciting. I like seeing the cars go down the track. And hey, Alan, the invitation's open if you want to take one for a spin. You can pick 7 seconds, 8 seconds, 9 seconds, or 10 seconds. And
good to know.
Set you right
Good to
up.
know. We're going to have to make that happen at some point.
No problem.
Are you crazy?
You too, Joe.
Are you crazy, Scott? Like, what are you doing, Scott? What is this? Now, Reinhart's got a good rep. No, I think that's awesome. You do. We joke that you have a fleet, right? We always say you've got a fleet. You do roll deep. When you roll in, you roll deep with a whole bunch of cars, multiple categories, maximizing your opportunity costs, right? Alex has been racing, as you said. Good guy, by the way. Everybody needs to know Alex. But when you come in, you're in multiple classes.
I like keeping busy. It keeps my mind focused. And that's, Kyle Powick's giving me some super gas lessons in his car. So that's something I'm going to try out either in the fall here or next year a little bit more. And I just love that sport. It's great people, and it's competitive. And, back in the day, we used to call it bench racing, but now you can line them up and see what happens.
There you go.
I
Scott, appreciate you coming on the show. I wish you good luck this weekend. The final race, FlexJet Factory Stock Showdown Championship, Worldwide Technology Raceway. 4 very tough David Janik, Stephen Bell, Mark Powick, and Scott Libersher racers going to be battling it out for a championship. I'm very excited for you. I was very happy to see you get your first Wally. You got your second Wally. You proved that once you learn how to win, you kicked in the door. So congratulations on all of those wins, and good luck in the future. Good luck this weekend.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
There he goes. Scott Libersher with us here on WFO Radio. Huge investment.
You realize
in sport.
He's the only Illinois guy, so he's playing a home game trying to win the championship. All he's got to do, I would think, would get in touch with the state patrol and tell them, hey, if you see a guy with Louisiana plates or you see a guy with Ohio plates, or
get him.
Find something. We're gonna have to impound your rig for 72 hours. You can pick it up Tuesday.
Yeah, they're very Smokey and the Bandit. All right, let's talk a little Mission Food Series. It's been great to see the audience numbers build through Dallas and Matt and now Scott Libersher. The numbers just going up and up and up. Thank you, audience, for sharing. Guys, that's how it works. You see the show, you share the show, you engage on YouTube, you write a comment in the comment section, you share it, you like, thumbs up, all that, and the numbers go up. The algorithms, as you know, something out there in the computer world says people must be liking this. Let's show it to more people. And so thank you for doing that. Now let's get into our Mission Food stuff, Alan, where, let's start off with Top Fuel. Antron Brown hung out with Antron last week, and they go out and they do it again. Right? Antron Brown back-to-back, now 53 points over Justin Ashley, 62 over Sean Langdon, 67 over Doug Coletta, 118 over Clay Milliken, 130 over Steve Torrence. I'm not really willing to count anybody out just yet.
No, I don't think so either. Justin Ashley had a very strange weekend. When's the last time that car made 2 bad runs in a row? And that's what it did on Sunday. The first round got away with it, as Dallas pointed out, a 17 light, and somehow he gets away with, winning on a hole shot, whatever it was, 460 to 450 or some ridiculous thing like that. And then they made a bad run again in the second round and didn't get away with it. But I couldn't tell you the last time Mike Green made 2 bad runs in a row as crew chief of that thing. So I don't expect that to keep up. Antron, fortunately for him, was able to take advantage. Alan Johnson on Doug Coletta's car has been a bit distracted the last couple of weeks, dealing with personal family issues that, some people inside know about and some people may not. But I expect him to come back and be, very focused and very driven for the last 4 races coming in this week. Steve Torrence, they've been a little bit hit and miss. And I think he would tell you the same thing. But we also know that if they start hitting, they could start hitting and roll off 3 in a row. Clay Milliken has been a very, very big, pleasant surprise in the countdown. Car, coming off the Indy win and then, solid, whether championship contender or spoiler kind of remains to be seen. But no, I think that Top Fuel is probably the most wide open of the 4 mission categories that we contest.
Well, so we've been talking this Play NHRA initiative in drag racing and really trying to get people who are, so there's a much deeper conversation to have. Like, I don't know how many drag racing people are going to go out there and gamble. I think it's great and I like it. And I would hope they would do it. But I know that there's gamblers that are looking for new stuff to gamble on because they can hopefully win some money. And the idea that Doug Foley was plus 5,000 plus, and he's going to the final round and he came up short, but just barely. Like, that shows you that in drag racing, the long shots can come in. And I spoke with Doug Cook on the starting line. He's like, it's one knob. There's one knob. I got to turn the one knob right. And it was amazing. And they got down the track. They didn't quite outrun Antron, but they ran 86. And I just want to say hats off to that team and Doug Cook and Lance Larson. Like, that is a part-time car that just causes nightmares for the full-time cars.
Well, we have certainly seen over the years, where a part-time car or, maybe an underfunded car comes in and, ends up in the semifinals, or, somebody smokes a tire or somebody makes a mistake or somebody and they go some rounds. And you certainly get credit for the upset or for the round win. But, let's be honest, right? We both know that if Joe and Alan's Top Fuel car goes out there and we're going up against Justin Ashley and, he red lit, we didn't beat him. I mean, we got the round win, but we didn't really beat him, right? It's just one of those things that happen. But Doug went out there with a car that had solid performance, went head-to-head with all the guys, did a better job than they did, and ended up in the final round. He didn't get there because he was, Mr. Magoo stumbling, bumbling his way. He got there because the car was running good and he deserved to be there. And he was that close to getting his first win. And I think it's great on a number of reasons. One, it's a home game for him. A lot of his sponsors are based in that part of the world. So they come out and go, okay, this is what you can do, right? I mean, if his sponsors are watching when he's on TV at other races and he goes, goes out in the first round or maybe goes to the second round, it doesn't get a lot of exposure, then, I think you start going, okay, well, we're glad to help the guy out. But when you bring them out to the track and you've got them there and you show them this is what we're capable of doing, and we could do it on a bigger scale. Maybe we need more financial help. Maybe we need some more of a commitment. But we can do this on a bigger scale. I think that's great. I think it's got to get those guys excited. Does that mean maybe they sign up for more races or more deals next year? I hope so, because it's a good car when it's out there, and we will take good cars, as many as we can get. So, win-win. When, again, home race, the friends, the family, the people that are there, that stop by the shop every once in a while and go, oh yeah, so you're racing this week, and if it's like, yeah, we're racing in New Hampshire, they're gonna go, oh yeah, okay, great. But when we're racing in Charlotte, they get to come out and see it, and that'll get them more enthusiastic and more excited. So I was very happy for him. If you're gonna have that day, having it at your home racetrack and being there because you deserve to, again, not because you just kind of showed up and everybody handed you the win. Being there because you had solid performance and you raced up, heads up with everybody you raced. I thought that was a great day for that team. And, he was obviously very excited, even losing the final round. He was still very excited about the day he had. And, I loved when we spoke to him at the top end after the thing blew the blower off of it. And he was asked, are you going to be able to? We will absolutely be back. Not, well, gee. And he said, we've got the parts. We've got the people. He said, if we need help, we'll get help. But this team can turn this car around. We'll be back. We'll be ready to go for the final. They were back. They were ready to go for the final, and they gave Antron a good, honest run in the final round.
Yeah, and I think that's a very important point to make because you're being judged even when you don't realize you're being judged, right? Like that potential sponsor that's out there in the world, like, yeah, oh no, we're going to have problems because we don't know what we're doing, right? Like, I don't want to be involved with that guy. No, man, this guy is ready to go and they're going to do it. And they did it. And they battled Antron and just came up a couple of hundredths behind. I think that's a great point. The Justin Ashley program of don't tell people that you can if they write a check. Do it yourself. Get out there, start doing it, and tell them that they're missing the boat because you're going anyway. And I think Doug is showing that. And I would hope that Doug Foley can bring on more funding and race as many races as he wants to in 2025, because that is a team. Doug Cook has always shown he knows how to tune one of these things, especially in a time where I don't want to say there's brain drain in the crew chiefing world, but beyond what we've got right now, you know, Doug is a capable guy who's got a home with a dragster that is going well. That having all been said, Antron Brown, back-to-back to start the countdown, AB on a quest for number 4, and that would be a real big championship because he would have done it as a team owner.
The craziest stat, and I don't know if you saw this or not, but, you know, Antron, year after year, he's a contender, right? I mean, he's always in the top 5. He's in the top 2 or 3. Do you know the last time he was leading the points?
No.
2017.
What?
Doesn't seem possible, does it?
No. But I guess with Torrence, the Torrence domination and all that, I guess, but no, it doesn't seem reasonable.
And, you know, they've got some momentum right now. They got a little mojo going. You know, I love the attitude that that they have, you know, the entire team right now. We're going up here. We've got a job to do. You know, Brian Karate, you know, look, we're not necessarily trying to set low ET. We're not trying to set the track record. This is what we think the track will take. This is what we think it'll take to win this race. That's what we're trying to do. And if somebody comes up here and, you know, pulls off a Superman run in the other lane, okay, fine. But they're not giving anything away. They're making good, clean runs. And that's a difficult combination.
All right, let's move on over to Funny Car. And these 3 in a row, we always say it, right? It's really going to tell the tale. And then we'll have the Stampede of Speed, Vegas, and Pomona to figure out who's going to win the championship. But like the field gets cut down over these 3 races. In Funny Car, on the other hand, a little bit different story. I am intrigued that Austin Prock, I brought it up. I know it's too early to bring up the Steve Torrence perfect countdown, right? Because nobody can ever do that again, right? Right?
Well, in Funny Car right now, it really looks like there's the big one. You know, it's a long way from over. And obviously, you know, Bob Task is going to have something to say about it. You know, Matt Hagan had a very solid weekend, coming up a little short in the final. I still think Ron Capps is you know, capable of jumping up and getting in the mix. But I bumped into Austin Prock when he was leaving the media center, and we had a nice little chat in the hallway for a few minutes. And I told him, I said, you know, what you're doing right now is really John Force-esque. Back in John's heyday, the car was so good that every time somebody would go up and race him, they would press. And very often they would press too hard, and they would let John get away with a mistake. And it looks like right now that's kind of the way that the Prock Rocket is running. When they need to be good, they're good. But let's be honest. They could have been beaten in the first round. They could have been beaten in the second round. They didn't go out there and make low ET of the event, track record, you know, hold my beer and watch this runs. But the cars that they were racing kind of let them get away with it. And by the time they got to the semifinals, they had certainly found the stride and then looked like they were where they needed to be. And I told Austin, I said, I'll remember a year in Phoenix when John Force won the race, and the quickest run made against him was like 8.5 seconds. And John didn't make a clean run to the finish line all day long. But everybody that raced him came up there and went, wow, okay, well, that's John Force, and we know, you know, he's running good, and he's going to – and they pressed so hard that they just let him get away with it. And right now, you know, you look at what they're doing. When they need to be good, they're good. When they need a little good fortune, they're getting a little good fortune. And I don't know how you beat that combination. everybody that has ever competed in anything has been on some kind of a run like that. Maybe it lasts a week, maybe it lasts 6 months. You don't know, but you'll take it. And you try to keep doing everything the same, and you try to make sure that you're not the one that brings the streak to an end, because you know it's going to crash down at some point. But I told him on the stage during the winter interview, I said, the rate you're going right now, you could clinch this thing in Dallas. And he kind of laughed. And he goes, we're not looking that far ahead. We're looking, we're going to go to St. Louis, and we're going to concentrate on qualifying. And that's certainly the attitude you got to have. But right now, they are, if not head and shoulders, certainly at least a head above the field.
Well, he's 129 points up on Tasca, 136 on Beckforce, 153 on Hagan, 207 on Caps, 210 on JR, who pretty much bowed out this past weekend, like vocally. He said that pretty much ends it for us in the top end. Another good interview for JR, by the way, just like, you're getting closer to his attitude every time he speaks, which is a good thing. But 129 points, there would have to be a huge swing, right? They'd have to lose first round, and then Tasca or Beckman, who has had a great car, right? Beckman has had the second best car, but just things would really have to fall their way. We'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. And I mentioned that Steve Torrence perfect countdown as like something to shoot for.
Unlike Pro Stock, where you've got 4 cars that are at the top of the field, and if you look at Jaggy on back, all 4 of them aren't going to stub their toe. But hypothetically speaking, if Prock makes a mistake and goes out round 1 or round 2, all of a sudden the rest of the field can close that gap, because it's not one guy hoping 4 guys make a mistake. It's 4 guys that just need one guy to make a mistake, and then they can start making a move. So, do I see that coming? Nope. I think from the performance standpoint and from the mojo standpoint right now, the Cornwall team has just got it. It's all rolling downhill for them, and they need to just keep doing what they're doing.
Well, we'll have to see when it's all over. We'll write the story after the In-N-Out Burger Finals in Pomona, and if things were to continue to trend the way they have trended, this is like the 3-year culmination of Jimmy Prock, like freaking out over losing 2 championships by a total of 15 points. And he said at the start of the season, and it was really cool, Austin said it after Indy, that in an interview on WFO Radio, everyone could go back and find it on YouTube, that Jimmy Prock said, our goal is to win the championship, and was really aggressive about the way he said it. And Austin said, I've never heard my dad like that before, that interview. And they've raced all season that way. Nothing cute, sledgehammer, crush competition. And they've been doing it. So we'll see how it all plays out. Maybe someone can figure out how to do it, but you got to get them early. And maybe this weekend.
I mean, 7 wins on the season so far. It's like, if we just sat down at the beginning of the year and said, somebody in funny car is going to win 7, you'd have gone the same thing we all did, right? Hagan and Caps and Tasca, and at the time was John and Brian. So ain't no way somebody's going to reel off 7. No way. There are too many good cars. If somebody reels off 4, that's going to be a big year. 5 is going to be wow. Well, they've got 7 and they still got 4 to go. So they've got it. They definitely have it all going on right now.
All right, let's talk as we get ready for the weekend. Let's talk Congruity HR Pro Mod presented by Learn EV Plus, the big sponsor going on. Really cool story. Khaled Belushi couldn't be there. As the rules indicate, you're allowed a replacement driver or substitute driver for 1 race in the countdown. His substitute driver, the Carolina kid, Travis Harvey, first NHRA quarter mile race. On the stage, Justin Bond, as we're ready to walk out, he's like, you got to make Ricky and Travis the marquee matchup, because this is like a big Carolina moment. I said, yes. And Ricky, and as much as Ricky will do, it was like a passing of the torch almost. It was almost like a passing of the torch. Travis goes out there, beats Ricky, goes on and wins the race. Khaled Belushi now in the points. But just what do you make of that whole thing? And the kid, just awesome. Another awesome character for NHRA Pro Mod. I hope he's out here more often.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'd never met the guy before. I'd heard his name, but I wouldn't have been able to pick him out of a lineup. But when they were on stage as a marquee matchup, and I heard the level of respect that Ricky Smith had for him, then that's like, what? This kid's the real deal. no matter how this race goes, no matter if he loses first round, no matter, but just, if Ricky Smith has that much respect for you, you're the real deal. And the fact that he went out and won it, he was, a little bit shocked when we talked to him down on the racetrack at the end of the day. And I asked him, when do we see you again? He said, no idea. He said, I got the call. I'm here. He said, Khaled's back next week. But he was, very grateful for the opportunity, very grateful to show what he's capable of. And I have a sneaking suspicion that we are going to see that kid again. Maybe not this year because we're so late in the season, but I have a sneaking feeling that we are going to see more of him. And the fact that, he had never raced quarter mile pro mod. When I spoke to him a little bit about his background, his history, he said, he'd done some bracket racing and done some other stuff but he had never raced quarter mile pro mod until that weekend. And didn't take him long to get comfortable and get familiar with it.
Well, it's very exciting because I had met him a couple of years back when I did the TV for World Series of Pro Mod over there in Bradenton. And I got to go around and meeting all these people that I had heard about, but they run 8th Mile Pro Mod all around the country and various other series and outlaw races, outlaw series, etc. 8th Mile Pro Mod. And NHRA is the only place where quarter mile pro mod is the thing. And I think it's great because it's perfectly positions the National Hot Rod Association as the pinnacle of where pro mod happens, because you got to run the back half of the racetrack, which is way faster and maybe a little scary and maybe takes a little bit more. And hearing everybody talk about how, I don't want to say it separates the men from the boys. I don't want to go 220 miles an hour to the 8th mile. Okay. But it's just another deal. And for Travis to come in and have such great success, I hope this will ignite something within him to want to be back. And not just him, others, because Pro Modified is looking so strong right now. You got all these personalities. They're doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes to make the class even more healthy. And like Mike Stavrinos, I hung out with him on the flight home. He was on my flight coming back to Fort Lauderdale. They're into it. It's like, oh, this is another gear, right? Like you can be a fast drag racer at tracks all around the country, or you can be on Fox television in an NHRA national event. Even when we have a light event, there's still 10,000 people watching you.
Well, and 25 cars that came to qualify. You could have made a heck of a match race out of the non-qualified cars that were all Sunday spectators when we were out there. And I love it. The one thing, if I could become the czar, I'd like to get a couple of turbo cars back out there and maybe a couple of more nitrous cars. I think the variety of the category is one of its great calling cards. And even though the level of competition is high, the on-track product is great. I just wish we could get a couple of turbo cars out there to mix it up, because there are turbo car fans out there that I think when they tune in and go, there's not even one trying to qualify, they kind of go, eh. I think you need to, one of the great calling cards of Pro Modified has always been, we've got everybody represented, and how to do that within the rules and not have 47 people switch is what we've seen in the past, right? If it's perceived that that's the better way to go, okay, everybody build one. But I would love to get a couple of turbo cars out there.
Yeah, and some classic body, like Willie's style, Scotty Cannon style body schemes as well. Give them like a 200-pound weight break until they start dominating and then pull them back. But that's Lonnie's gig, and we just get to sit here and go, "Come on, Lonnie, get with it. Come on, Lonnie, get with it.
Come on, Lonnie.
Come on, Lonnie." But that's a winter break kind of thing. We'll see these guys back in action. Let's see, Joe Maynard and Sean Bellemere. I'm a little bummed. We can say it on the show. Sean Bellemere and I always end up on the stage together. We were up against a very tight TV window once again, and we were going to do an interview with those guys with you out on the racetrack. I guess they ended up doing photographs when that was happening, got double booked. We didn't get to talk with Sean or Joe Maynard, but Sean Bellemere, can we start engraving the trophy yet?
I think so. Is it mathematically locked? No, but I really think that we can. The way that that team is running and has run, Macy Gordon has exceeded, I think, most expectations. She's certainly going to have a top 5 finish, and said at the beginning of the year, Maddie Gordon said at the beginning of the year, their goal was a top 5, and they're going to accomplish that. I think it's been a breakout season for Bob McCosh. Finding the winner's circle again, being a much more consistent player. But I think that it is going to be, another big championship trophy going back to Tony Bartone's place. So yeah, we can definitely start. Call the engraver. That one's all but done.
Right. Like, what would have to happen? They've got so many wins racked up on the national level. We'll see. Comp Eliminator, Larry Pritchett, very emotional in the winner's circle for Larry.
Been a long time. He and Eunice have been doing this for years and years and years and years. And his last win, if I'm not mistaken, was Chicago like 20 years ago. And they don't run probably as much as they used to, and they stick a little closer to home, and they do a lot of the regional stuff. But he is a hardcore racer. The super modified car, it's a clutch car. When he I'm sure people have told him 100 times over the last one, just put an automatic in it, right? You don't need the headache. You don't need the maintenance. You don't need that. Just ain't him. He's going to get out there and row the gears and do this stuff. It was really cool to see him win that race. And the key obviously was, he stayed clean. We didn't have a huge field of comp cars, but he was able to stay clean into the final round. And that definitely gave him the edge going in.
Derek wants to know if Bellemere is the one who sidesteps interviews. No, that would be Joey Severance. My wonderful friend Joey is the one who sidesteps interviews, maybe just with me. But yeah, Bellemere, on the other hand, Bellemere loves interviews, and it is great. Let's see. Logan Bellinger, super stock, first win, great kid, first time at ZMAX, got it done.
And his family's been, very, very involved in Division III for a number of years on the regional trail and the national events when we come to the neighborhood. But yeah, for Logan to bust through and get his first big win was pretty cool.
Yeah,
but to beat Monty Bogan in the final, right? I mean, that's and I always think that makes it more special, right? I mean, if you win your first final round and you beat me, are you happy that you won it? Of course, you're happy that you won it. But if you win your first final round and you beat Anthony Bertozzi, isn't a little part of you going, yeah, because the guy you beat makes it extra special. And, as good as Monty is, and if I'm not mistaken, he's leading the national points right now. He is, he's certainly going to be a top fiver by the time it's all over with. I think, if you win your first one against somebody like that, I think it makes it even extra special.
Yeah, Monty is as good as they get. He's one of those top-notch racers. Tim Barrett, first win, heads up, stock eliminator, final round against Kenny Anderson, who's from Lake Worth, Florida, and that's just super cool for Kenny. But heads up, that is just a different. Like, how many quarts of oil you think was in that thing?
Well, I have to wonder because they had all night, right? I mean, for the fans that follow casually or may not know, they ran because we had so much going on with the alcohol cars there, with the pro mods there, there was just so much going down the racetrack on Sunday that on Saturday night they ran the 4 Lucas series, Super Comp, Super Gas, Stock, Super Stock, down to the finals. And so the only run that was run on Sunday was the final. So Saturday night after the semifinals, both Kenny and Tim knew one run, heads up, tomorrow, and whoever won it was going to pick up their first Wally. It's not like you got to turn the car around in 20 minutes and get back. You got all night. So it's like, okay, do we have some smaller tires, some lighter tires? Like you said, how much oil are you going to put in the thing? You don't have to worry about, can we get the manifold ice down in 20 minutes? You can get the manifold ice down in 12 hours if you want to, and bring it up and turn it loose. But it was, I would have been thrilled for either one of the drivers, whoever won it. But for Tim and for Linda and, the story and the Camaro and all the stuff, I just thought that was a really cool moment for them.
Since we're talking about it, now that we've seen it twice, I know it's not my job, but I think we should run them down to the final rounds of every race. I think we should let the people who unfortunately lose in the semifinals get home by Sunday as a reward for their unfortunate going many rounds and not really winning anything. I think we should have the finalists at the pre-race on Sunday morning. I think we should let them think about it all day long. I think we could talk about it all day long. I don't think anybody should get a free shot at the tree before the final round, because sometimes there's 3 cars. And I think we have stumbled upon something that works very well. And getting them down to the final 2 on Saturday night, I think is something that maybe we should do forever. What about you? What is your take on that?
Well, Joe, as usual, you're dead wrong. No, I think that circumstances are going to dictate, sometimes that's what you got to do. I have advocated for years, there should be no buy runs on Sunday unless somebody blows up, somebody can't, but there should be no laddered buy runs on Sunday. When you bring 3 cars back, and yes, I understand that's going to happen from time to time. But it is such an advantage, I believe, if Joe has to run Fred and I get a bye run, and then I come back and run whoever wins between Joe and Fred, I basically get a free practice run and then one run for a trophy, where Joe and Fred don't get a free practice run. They both have to make 2. Now, if it happens during the course of the day, right, we ran at 3 o'clock, we ran at 4 o'clock, we ran at 5 o'clock, somebody had I don't think it's that big a deal. But when you've waited overnight, especially if it's different weather conditions, I think it's a huge deal. And I think we should find a way to get rid of that. However, I like the fact that all of the different cars and all of the different categories race on the same day. And could it be done every week? I don't know, probably not. But I would like if a casual fan is coming out on Sunday because they want to watch eliminations, right? Okay, I just want to come out and I want to watch the Nitro cars, or I just want to come out and I want to watch the Pro Mod cars, or Pro Stock Motorcycle is my thing. I'm coming Sunday just to see who wins Pro Stock Motorcycle. I want to expose them to as much of NHRA as we can. And one pair of cars from each class going on the racetrack would not be the top of my priority list. If we ran everybody down to the semis and there were no bye runs, so that we'd have a chance to showcase the different classes, that in Alan's perfect world, I think I would rather do than have run all the way down to the finals.
Well, we're just going to have to agree to disagree. We're just going to have to agree to disagree. That's fine. Taking a big principled stance on this. Super Comp Ray Miller, another win for Ray. Guys, yeah. Unbelievable. He's one of those great racers that, whenever he rolls in the gate, he's favored to win.
Well, and, big final round. They had, when you got down to whatever it was, whether it's 5 cars or 4 cars, or, you're looking at that going, okay, who's going to win this? And, there were a lot of players that wouldn't have been a surprise, I don't think, to anybody who ever won it. But really, really cool car. And congratulations to him. He lives down in that neck of the woods now, so playing a home game. And, having a wife and having Rachel there to celebrate was kind of cool, too. So congratulations.
Spider-Man McBride, Top Fuel Motorcycle, 21st championship. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Who saw that coming?
Yeah, who saw it? Well, and still, he didn't win the first race, right? He got bounced first round in the first race. But just such a good guy and put a lot of personal effort into making it happen. It's fitting that he's able to hoist the championship trophy.
And putting a lot of personal effort into growing the class. He has been one of the driving forces, maybe the biggest driving force, in so many new motorcycles coming out to get involved in the Top Fuel motorcycle category. A couple of the Top Fuel Harley guys are now out there on the blown 4-cylinder machines. And I don't know, I got a chance to look at the European Harley blown bike. Holy smokes, is that thing cool? Wow. I mean, I sit there and looked at it and go, I could spend 5 years in my machine shop. I couldn't build that. I mean, that thing is just amazing. And topping the racetrack at one point, I looked at it, and when the rest of the bikes came around the corner, I walked over to Larry McBride and I told him, I used to think your bike was pretty cool from a machinist standpoint. I said, and he went, oh my God, that thing. He said, and you only know half of it. He goes, those guys basically, by themselves, most of it by hand, and what an absolute work of art that thing is. I'd love to see maybe a couple more of those, or I'd love to see that thing win a race or two, because I think that would really, really generate even more excitement for the category. Having different style engines competing heads up.
Chad Taylor wins Top Dragster. Tyler Kahele wins Top Sportsman. Sandy Wilkins, great story. He was very appreciative that we gave him the Never Rest Award. Great stories in Top Sportsman and Top Dragster.
Well, and, just a Reader's Digest version, Sandy, Saturday night when we ran the semifinals, blew the motor up. Didn't have a spare. Sandy is an engine builder. His shop is there, but he didn't have the means to put together another one and get it. He's never won at his home racetrack there at ZMAX Dragway, and he wanted desperately to at least have a shot at it. He called a customer that has the same engine. He built basically an identical twin engine. The guy lives in Illinois and said, can I borrow that thing? And the guys in Illinois jumped in a truck and headed towards ZMAX, and he jumped in his truck and headed north. They met wherever they met, swapped the thing over. They came back, they put it in, fired the thing up at noon on Sunday, and came out and made the final round, and then ended up breaking out in the final round. But he at least was taking a crack at it. And, it didn't pay off for him, but, the effort was definitely worth the Never Rest.
Amazing. And then finally, Super Gas, where Dave and
Back to
Sue
back.
Yeldman. Well, really, it's 3 in a row because they won Division II National Open in Rockingham. He and Sue won Super Gas and Super Street on the same weekend, and that started this run. Went to Maple Grove, their previous home where they grew up and met each other, won, and then came back to their new home track and won again. Back-to-back nationals in Super Gas has to be pretty rare because it's super tough, and just amazing that Dave is able to go on such a roll.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often. If I'm him, I'm buying a house in St. Louis and headed there this weekend. So, like when you're on a roll, don't stop. You do not want to be the one that breaks the momentum when you're rolling along like he is right now.
Yeah, that is a fact. They are going to go to, I think he only has claims left on the divisional level, so they're going to go to Virginia Motorsports Park and try to shore up the points as best as they can, given the circumstances. And if they have to go west to secure like something really good, they might. They talked about it a lot on our Ignition show. We opened it up to questions. Everybody peppered Dave with questions. But really, like to win back-to-back Super Gas races, the greats have done it, of course. But that is a huge accomplishment. Alan, final thoughts as we get ready for St. Louis.
I'm just ready to go to St. Louis. Give us good weather, and we'll take it from there. Curtis Francois, who owns the place, Chris Blair, who runs the place, they have made some pretty big capital improvements, made pretty big investment to try to make their facility better for the racers and for the fans. And I hope Mother Nature smiles on us a little bit and let us give us good weather. We'll take it from there.
Absolutely. Alan, great job as usual. Thanks for spending the time with us here on WFO.
Thanks, Joe. Travel safe. I'll see you in a few days.
There he goes, the voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, with us here on WFO Radio. How about that? And he's all tuned up from the weekend. Like, that's it. You just keep talking. Guys, did you know that your voice isn't good? Yeah, we know. We know. All right, final comments in the comments section. My buddy, I talked to him this morning, and he's like, yeah, your voice sounds rough. Yeah, there's a lot of talking that happens. There's a lot of talking. Final comments in the comments section. I'm going to give you a couple of final thoughts from myself after this.
Foggit is a high-performance fogging oil designed especially for internal combustion engines. Foggit can be used by everyone. If you have a lawnmower, a jet ski, a motorcycle, a tractor, a high-performance car, a classic car, racing vehicles, if it has a cylinder wall, it needs Foggit.
That is right. Get yourself a can of Foggit for the holidays. Gift your can of Foggit to your great racer friends so that they can soon understand how important it is to protect the inside of your engine. All right, before we get to your comments, and I'd like to hear what you think, how about this as a question for the YouTube channel? YouTube comment section question. It's a two-parter. Have you enjoyed NHRA getting the Lucas Oil categories down to the final rounds? It's happened each of the last 2 races. And I think by accident, we've stumbled upon something that really works for multiple reasons, like in engineering. Like if you can solve one goal with your engineering, you've done something great. But if you can solve multiple issues with your engineering, that's the holy grail, right? And we have kind of stumbled upon something that eliminates the byruns that Alan doesn't like. There's always byruns. There was like 5 of them or something, or would have been. Eliminates the byruns. Puts 2 racers on equal footing, gives us an opportunity to feature and highlight our Lucas Oil Series racers as their final round comes up the next day. We could really you could do a feature. You could put out a social media post, this one versus that one. And you do lose showcasing the categories to the crowd in between the second round and final rounds of the Mission Food Series. You do miss that. But how many people are in the stands at that time anyway? And they're seeing a bunch of byruns. And are they even paying attention? So you do give something to get something. I think it's worth it. And finally, and we talked about it on Ignition last night, the people who lose in the semis get to head home Sunday morning and be home and ready for work. And that makes it so much more affordable for them because they're home to go to work on Monday. So, but what do you think? Have you liked it? And should NHRA adopt that permanently? Should that be the way it is? You decide. Put it in the comment section on the YouTube show after it posts. We'd love to hear it. Shout out to everybody watching on PowerTube TV. PowerTube TV They're going to be at PRI. They're going to be at SEMA, PowerTube TV on Roku and Samsung. Everybody watching on PowerTube TV. Project Pontiac update. We got rods and pistons in the block. Gary Stinnett doing a lot of good stuff. I'm chasing around valve covers. I'm chasing around parts and pieces. The trailer at Right Trailers is coming soon. We've got a whole lot of good stuff going on. The T-Public store. All kinds of new gear up there. Morris Motorsports gear. If you want to rep Dave and Sue after winning 3 in a row, the only place you can get Morris Motorsports gear is the WFO Radio store. The link is in the chat section right now. Get your shirts, get your gear, get yourself a mug. Morris Motorsports. Oh, yeah. And plus the Miami Hollywood Speedway t-shirts. And oh, by the way, big thanks to Randy Lynn and Hot Rod Randy's, where this shirt, the OG, and also apparently good luck, because it's won back-to-back-to-back U.S. Nationals, shirt is on sale for just $10. The Podfather of Drag Racing shirt. They've been selling for just $10 until they run out, and that's going to be the deal. I mentioned the holidays. Marvin Rodak, 817-924-6821. Call Marvin and order some coffee before the Stampede of Speed. This is your plan for the holidays, the Rodak's holiday packs. Coffee, hot sauce, spice rubs, 817-924-6821. And then, of course, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure at frankhawley.com. All right, what are your comments? As you can tell, I'm running out of gas. Too much talking. Did you guys see my question about Paul Smith? Yeah, I did see the question, Andrew, and I didn't know that that had happened. And Alan and I are in the tower and did not know that that was an issue. And so we'll maybe get after it next week. I would say just an oversight, a mistake, right? Turning over the car on the top end. Like, I don't know. Sorry, Andrew. Scott, loved Ignition. Derek says Alan's fired from WFO for disagreeing with me. That's not true. Lauren says, congratulations, Dave Morris. Yeah, really tremendous. Should they make Charlotte 2 a 2-day race? Saturday crowd seems to draw well. You know, I'm never going to say anything negative about Charlotte or ZMAX Dragway. I love that race. I wish there were more people there. But this is not an NHRA phenomenon. It's a Charlotte phenomenon. It's a Charlotte phenomenon. Ricky Smith, I saw him posting on social that this has been the truth. It has to do with high school football. It has to do with football. It has to do with so much. You know what I say? Honestly, VIP race for anybody that goes there and flies in. Charlotte 2, if I'm going to invite someone to go to a race to get the best personal experience, that's the one. Why? The driver time and driver exposure per fan number is the lowest. The convenience number is the highest. You fly into Charlotte, you're 15 minutes from the track. There's hotels 7 minutes from the track. There's restaurants everywhere. It's one of the most convenient races there is at arguably the best facility that there is. And so if the locals, for whatever reason, have somehow been taught that 4 wide is the race that they want to go to, and they're really focused on their miserable football team, I mean, the Carolina Panthers, and they don't want to go to drag racing, or maybe they just went to the Supercross there, or maybe they're getting ready for NASCAR Roval, or whatever the reason is, more for us. The people who hung out had a great time. They had some of the best seats, some of the best sight lines, some of the best amenities, some of the best access anywhere on the NHRA tour. So this needs to become a race that people fly to, that people go, which one will I have the best time at? Sometimes it's great to not be in a huge crowd. Yeah, you want to take pictures and have the place packed to the rafters. That's great for us because somehow we think it's going to end up, that money is going to end up in my pocket eventually, right? But if that's not the case, the people at home are loving it. It's part of the playoffs. The racers are loving it. And the fans who choose to attend that race had probably a better time. If you go to Smith & Walensky or a wonderful steakhouse, Prime 112 on South Beach, and it's half full, does your steak taste any worse? No. You get a VIP experience. In fact, people, when they go to places that are super popular, pay a premium to get to the part of that place where there are fewer people. It's like a VIP. Now, I am spinning a little bit, but I actually believe it because I was talking to the people on in the stands. I was doing my Parade of Champions. I was up there and I'm looking at those folks. And when I prompted them to say something, they all cheered because they cared, because everybody that was there for the final rounds was a real fan. They flew there, like my friends Nick and Chase from right here in South Florida. They flew there. That was their vacation. They got the Bruton suite. They loved it. They had a blast. Part of it was because they weren't packed in with people. They had space. You're worried about space? You want to be comfortable in the grandstands? Charlotte too, baby. That's the race. Yes, I wish everyone was jam up packed and the fans were uncomfortable. This one, if you're looking for a race to go to, obviously I always say the Stampede of Speed because I'm going to be there for 11 days. And it is one of the premier events on the tour. If you're looking for a second race to go to, Charlotte 2, as convenient as it gets. Cheap to fly to Charlotte, cheap to stay to Charlotte, and you're going to get the best amenities of any place on the tour. So their unfortunate misunderstanding of our sport is your game. Take advantage of it. I like having finals for Lucas Oil Series on Sundays, but that's the only because I am a TV person, all about hitting TV time. Well, that's a big part of it too. The sport has got to finish on time. You've got to finish on time. Great show today. Thanks. I'm happy that the alcohol class is getting some attention. I would like to see more fans and internet on this class. Yeah, me too. All of us. There's a lot going on there. You know, Will Hanna did a whole show for a while inside Top Alcohol, like he was trying. You know, my opinions, like you can't, what is it? Just like everything else, right? You can't expect others to do for you. You got to do for yourself. I can see how it would benefit those that don't make the finals, but I also think it waters down the Sunday program and you have downtime between rounds. I like the old days of constant action where you finished at 9 o'clock at night. Because I remember being at the Gator National several times, 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, 7:30 in the darkness. When Scott Coletta flipped over backwards, that was after dark. That's because of the constant action. Incompatible with television. It's incompatible. So you'd rather just hold those sportsman cars till after the Top Fuel finals and then run them and there's nobody in the stands anyway. I don't think the two, it's not an apples to apples comparison. I don't know. I don't think it's a good look that motocross outdraws the NHRA, especially with the younger crowd. Doesn't matter, right? Whether it's a good look or not a good look, they're doing something new. They put dirt all over Bristol and it drew a bunch of people. And then a couple of years later, it petered out. I would want to go see Supercross at ZMAX to check it out, but I'm a drag racing fan. So I would definitely go see Supercross, but I'm a drag racing fan. So whether it's a good look or it's not a good look or whatever, this is the deal, Drag Racing Mayhem. Drag Racing Mayhem, were you in Indy? That's the question. I love the Charlotte facility. It's the best. It's amazing. ZMAX, great facility, great area. Be cool to have sports and racers at the driver intros. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Bring them out. You've made the final. You get showcased on the pre-race show. It would add 5 minutes to the pre-race show to have 6 categories come out as finals and wave to the crowd. They would get a photo. They could social media about it. It would be added value for the sponsors. Nice comparison, Joe. Kind of like the rain, our finish on a Monday. I'd be for all sportsman finals on Saturday and have it sort of like NASCAR does, where Saturday is dedicated to the Xfinity Series. Yeah, see, I hate that idea because then nobody would even get to see any of them finish because they would be finishing at 9, 10 o'clock at night. I think that's a terrible idea. Like, it's funny. It's only one round, right? But nobody would know anybody that did anything. Be cool to have sports and racers, finalists at the driver intros with everybody. Yeah. Do it before the pros. I want to see the Lucas Oil cars take up the time in between pro rounds. Yeah, but when? When was the last event you were to, D-Mob? There is no time. There is no time. First round concludes. We do some track prep, run pro mod, and Top Fuel's in the lanes. It's not the same as it was. We've tightened everything up. Do you know why? Because people say the majority of people say they don't want a 9-hour race day. That's old school, very minor group wants a 9-hour race day. Most people are willing to devote 4 hours to something. I hope the weather clears up for this weekend. Yeah, me too. Semifinal on sportsman classes should be on Sunday. And then somebody gets a free shot at the tree, and half of them are buy runs. Why? Who cares? So that the semifinal losers have to stick around, the ones that are on the tough side of the ladder, so that they have to stick around and then drive home, bonsai home on Sunday night to make work. I don't know. I don't see the value in it. Please, what is the value in it? I don't know. Every year it's the same thing. Charlotte 2 is always less than lit. If you want more people, bring a friend. Exactly. I had a nice meal at Garofalo's. I kind of like, I don't want to say it. It's not all about me, but I kind of like it. I kind of like the fact that I can move around. At Maple Grove, I love the fact that it was packed. I want Charlotte to be more packed, but being able to move around is kind of cool too. And it's more for you. Make your tickets, buy your tickets for next year. Go to the VIP race. Like nobody else is allowed to buy tickets. That's what they should do. They should limit the number of tickets sold to the number of tickets that they've already sold. And everybody else is frozen out. You put that velvet rope out in front of the door and everybody forms a line. You are not allowed to buy tickets to Charlotte 2 anymore. And suddenly everybody will want to. Thanks to Alan Reinhart. Thanks to Dallas Glenn. Thanks to Matt Smith. Thanks to Scott Libersher and all you guys. A little bit longer show than normally would have planned on doing. You're right. I'm old school, and that's how we all grew up. Now TV runs the show. Yes, it gets exposure to us, but I still think Saturday is not a good value for those coming out to the track. Or Sunday is not a good value for those coming out to the track. I don't know, man. Like, that's a good topic to you get Top Fuel, Funny Car, Pro Stock motorcycle, the alcohol classes, and Pro Mod. But that's not a good value. Plus the finals in the Lucas Oil Series. Like, you're really only missing out on 8 cars to 4 cars and 4 cars to 2 cars in my deal. That's the difference between a valuable ticket and a non-valuable ticket. I don't think that argument holds water. I just don't think it holds water. But again, value is the eye of the beholder. Then if that's like, the $65 ticket or whatever it is, it's like, I saw Antron Brown beat Doug Foley. It was amazing. Spider-Man McBride won a championship, but that doesn't really count as value. I want to see David Morris beat Rusty Cook at 8 cars. That's going to then come out on Saturday. And then, you're one of those guys that comes out on Saturday. If that is really the argument you're making, which I don't think it is. All right, guys, fun show. Appreciate all of you. Follow the social. We'll see you in St. Louis. Hit that archive, WFO.